electoralism isn't the entire spectrum of politics. See if you can, organize. Get into local organizations. Look if you can see, look around if you can see any organizations that do help with stuff like this, and see what you can do to help. And again, see if you can help people with travel, if you're in a position to travel, then do that. Either to a blue state if you're gonna have an abortion, or to Canada or wherever. In the primaries, vote for the most left-leaning candidate you can. So you should always vote for the most left-leaning candidate, in my opinion, in order to look after women's rights. So in the primaries, if you have like a socialist running against a neoliberal, then go for the socialist. Or a social democrat running against a neoliberal, go for the socialist. However, or the social democrat. However, in the general elections, you can't really be picky about it. You can't do the whole, oh yeah, this Democrat is running in my state in the general, but he's too much of a neoliberal, so I'm not going to vote. You still have to vote for the neoliberal if you're in that situation, because the alternative is a Republican. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court of the United States decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which effectively bans abortion in, I think it is, let's say 25 to 26 states in the United States. A couple of these states had what's known as trigger laws, so that the second the Roe v. Wade was overturned, the new laws came into place banning abortion. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the thread that I did the last time when I talked about Jimmy Dore, because I want us to go over a debate that Jimmy Dore and Sam Saether did back in 2016. Just to give you guys a perspective about exactly how correct Sam was back then, and how wrong Jimmy Dore was. So that's going to be interesting. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Oslo shooting that happened Saturday night. And then I think we're going to save the vegan versus vegetarian debate that Earthling Ed recently posted until after that. So we'll do the heavy stuff first. So yeah, Roe v. Wade has been overturned, as you might have noticed if you've been anywhere close to a computer for the last couple days. And what does that mean? Basically, it doesn't ban abortion. Let's be clear about that. However, what it does is that the Supreme Court has now said that abortion should be the question about the legality of abortion should be up to each state. So you have the 50 states, and now they get to decide what they want to do with that question. Now the problem with that, let's see if we can get a US Map going. Open image in new tab. We are going to wait. We're gonna do a little bit of drawing on the thing. So let's. Let's see. Here you have the map of the most powerful country the world has ever seen. And what's going to happen here is that previously it was federally decided that women had a right to an abortion. Now, however, after that Supreme Court ruling, you can say that stuff like, for example, here, you can cross this out. Tennessee, yeah, no chance. Texas is probably a no-go. Utah is definitely gone. At least South Dakota, and I'm assuming Ohio. Florida, probably, but I'm not 100% sure. South Carolina. I think both the Carolinas are no longer applicable. And like a bunch of these ones, basically. So now, if you live in California, Alaska also, no chance. If you live in California, you probably, your rights to get an abortion are probably still safe for the time being. Same with like Washington and New York, definitely. Like, so you have like the most liberal states, Hawaii probably, will allow for abortion in some way or another for some time to come. Now there's an issue with this. Let's see. Abortion. Do you guys remember Mike Pence? So Mike Pence was the vice president under Donald Trump, and he is currently calling for a national abortion ban. As Republicans across the United States are celebrating the Supreme Court decision Friday to overturn the fundamental right to an abortion established in Roe v. Wade, former Vice President Mike Pence is calling for a national ban on the procedure, while former President Donald Trump argued the court's decision is something that will work out for everybody. It won't. In an interview with Breitbart News, of course, Pence said that the Supreme Court voting 6-3 to uphold a restrictive Mississippi law banning almost all abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy has given the American people a new beginning for life, and I commend the justices in the majority for having the courage of their convictions. After saying that life won on Friday, Pence, who is considered a potential GOP contender in the 2024 presidential election, yeah, he's not gonna be the presidential candidate, went one step further by arguing the court's decision in Dobbs v. Jackson, women's health should lead to a national ban on abortion. Now that Roe v. Wade has been consigned to the ash heap of history, a new arena in the cause of life has emerged. And it is incumbent on all who cherish the sanctity of life to resolve that we will take the defense of the unborn, and the support for women in crisis pregnancy centers to every state in America. Having been given the second chance for life, we must not rest and must not relent until the sanctity of life has been restored to the center of American law in every state in the land. Yeah. This is not good. And the reason it's not good is that the Democrats are probably going to lose the Senate in the upcoming election of this year, and they might be able to hold on to the House. And unless something changes, they are probably going, or at least it's a very big possibility, that they might end up losing the White House in 2024. And at that point, America's kind of fucked. Because that will mean that best case scenario, if they retake the White House, best case scenario, the houses of the Congress will be stunlocked because the Democrats might hold a slim lead for the House, whereas the Senate will be GOP controlled. The Republicans have a firm hand on the courts at this point. And so let's say that Mike Pence would get elected. He could actually issue a national abortion ban. And with a Republican court, they would probably hold that up. And there's not a damn thing the House and Senate Democrats would be able to do about that. Now, with that said, there's a lot of blame to go around here. Who do I think is to blame for this decision? Well, it's a lot of people. So you can mainly split the blame into different categories. So you have the Supreme Court, of course. And alongside the Supreme Court, you have the Republicans, the GOP. So they constitute, and let's just say, Trump. They constitute the most direct responsibility here. The Supreme Court for actually overturning Roe v. Wade, the GOP. Alright, yeah, we'll take a look at it. The GOP, because they are the ones that have been pushing for the abortion ban forever, and Donald Trump, because he was the one to appoint 3 justices so that the Supreme Court ended up, let's see, let's draw a weight scale here. Whoop. Whoop. So because of Trump, the Supreme Court has now been heavily skewed in one direction. It's no longer balanced. And so that ended up making this even remotely possible. Now, in the second tier, we can blame, let's see, Bob. And Bob means Bernie or Busters. And the reason they are to blame for this is because they denied Hillary Clinton the presidency. And if Hillary Clinton had become president in 2016, let's just do 2016 here. If Hillary Clinton had become the president in 2016, then she would have been the one to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, and that would mean that she would probably try to uphold some sort of balance in the court, or she might have ended up pushing through 3 more liberal justices, which means that would end up holding up the Roe v. Wade. Keep in mind, by the way, I think all of the 3 people that were appointed by Trump, when they were having their hearings in order to get into the Supreme Court, all of them were asked about Roe v. Wade, and all of them said they wouldn't overturn it. Well, here we are. So you can't actually trust what conservatives are saying. And also the GOP is still, even in 2016, they are to blame for this because they refused Obama to get Merrick Garland into the Supreme Court, which means that Trump managed to get an extra Supreme Court justice into office. They managed to hold off on that, and that's why we got, I think it was Kavanaugh into the Supreme Court. And also in this one, you have, let's do the R here as well. Hillary Clinton is also to blame, to some degree. And the reason she is to some degree to blame for this is that if she had been doing a better job at campaigning when she was running for president, if she had actually gone to visit the Midwest, she might have been able to turn either some of these people or some like independents into actual voters that might have turned up and helped her. Wait, who's the other one? And she ran an extremely arrogant and unlikable campaign. And so she bears some responsibility for this. Now, in the next one, I don't think we actually need this one. In the next category, we have Obama. God damn it. Obama, the DNC, also known as the Democrats, and you have Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So why is Obama and the DNC to blame for this? So they bear some responsibility for it. Oh, and I should point out that these are the most to blame. I would say these are like a second tier, and these are somewhere between like a second and third tier. Because I do think that Obama might bear even more of the responsibility for this because... Oh, Clarence Thomas. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So Obama at one point had a super majority in the Congress. It was what we call a filibuster-proof Congress. I think it was at the beginning of his presidency. At that point, he could have made it so that a right to an abortion could have been signed into federal law. But he didn't do it because he didn't prioritize it. He thought that the tradition of Roe v. Wade, seeing as it has been the traditional law of the land for like 50 years or so, he thought that would stick. And also he had other priorities, mainly with the financial crisis, so he didn't choose to spend any energy on that. Now, the issue with that is that one day you're going to leave office and technically you can't know who is going to replace you. And what happened with Obama was that Trump replaced him and got 3 Supreme Court justices in. So that's why Obama and the DNC is to blame. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's a bit more in the third tier category. She was a Supreme Court justice who passed away last year? No, it must be 2 years ago. (2020). She should have retired back in either Obama's first or second term. Because if she had done that, then Obama could have replaced her with someone younger. It's a good thing she didn't retire when Trump became president, because that she was able to hold off on some of the things that he wanted to get through. However, at that point it was too late. She was cancer-stricken multiple times. She was 87 years at the point of her death. Hello there, Idris. And so she should have retired sooner. Now, if she had retired, that wouldn't necessarily have changed much. And the reason for that is that this decision came down to a 6 versus 3. So that means that this is the reason why she's in the third category. If she had retired, Obama had gotten in another one, that would still have ended up being a 5-4 decision. Now, 5-4 is better than 6-3 in this case, but it's not perfect. So she should have retired, and Obama should have got. If she had retired and Obama had gotten Merrick Garland into the court, then things would have looked different today. And also, if more people had actually turned out to vote for Hillary, that would have helped. Or if Hillary campaigned properly, that would have helped. So all of this is sort of like the perfect storm for the current Supreme Court, where 3 of them were appointed by Trump to get their the Roe v. Wade overturned. So yeah, that's where we are right now. So what do I think is going to happen? I believe that what is going to happen now is that gay marriage is probably next on the chopping block in the United States. That's my instinct. I do think that gay marriage is going to be reversed by the Supreme Court. And there are also some interesting laws around in some different states that might end up being the blueprint for this somewhat theocratic way of looking at this. I know that there's been a state a suggestion in Texas, a proposal to ban sodomy, which is, oral and anal sex, basically. How they're gonna get, check that's, I don't know, but I'm sure that the surveillance state of the United States would have a way to do that. Right to what's it called? Prevention. Contraception is the word. The right to contraception is probably also endangered right now with this Supreme Court. And who knows? Give it a decade, and maybe interracial marriage might be endangered. This is not good. This is very bad. And people need to understand that the GOP is actually a dangerous force. And they are not kidding when they are saying that they are going to go after these things. Just in time for this. Boy, what a horrible and tragic event happened in the United States. My condolences goes out to the whole female population of the US. May they find safe shelter. If there's going to be more political tensions on this, more extremism on both sides in America, plus like an Italian situation, if you ever researched and read Years of Lead in Italy, this is going to be an American scenario. Yeah, I don't know much about that one, but like I haven't read Years of Lead. I'm glad I don't live in the United States. I'm really happy about that. But with that said, I want my European friends and viewers to be aware of one thing. Europe has a tendency to follow in the United States' footsteps. And so we need to be vigilant. We need to actually deny right-wing populist parties entry into government all around Europe as well, because this shit right here might be happening in Europe in, let's say, a decade or two. I hope I'm wrong about that. But a lot of the cultural things that do happen in the United States have a tendency to repeat themselves in Europe just some years after. A friend of mine reminded me of a saying that shit runs downstream. And when it comes to these sort of cultural issues, rights issues, Europe has been downstream of the United States for quite some time. So what can women do in the United States? Well, They can travel to states where abortion is still legal. Now, not everyone can do that, of course. That's contingent on the women having the actual funds and resources to travel. Other than that, I would say there's an upcoming election this year. It's what's the the word I'm looking for? Imperative? Yes, it's imperative that people actually show up and vote for the Democrats. The Democrats have way more people up for re-election than the Republicans. And right now, they actually... The Democrats have to hold on to every seat in the Senate. They can't lose a single seat. Because if they do, then the game is up. They have the slimmest of margins in the Senate right now. And technically they don't actually hold the Senate. Because some of the Democrats are what we call dinos, Democrats in name only. People like Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, people like that are more right-leaning. Be a comrade and donate to abortion funds. Definitely. If you do have the funds for it, I would suggest look for that specific thing. Planned Parenthood is probably the safest route to go. But yeah, the midterm elections and also the presidential race in 24, if they're gonna survive, go through those moments. Yeah. So in this election, they have to hold the Senate, and they are probably not going to. So what women and what people that actually support women's rights to choose and to have control over their own bodies, what they are going to have to do is that they have to go out and vote for Democrats. Now, with that said, electoralism isn't the entire spectrum of politics. See if you can, organize. Get into local organizations. Look if you can see. Look around if you can see any organizations that do help with stuff like this, and see what you can do to help. And again, see if you can help people with travel. If you're in a position to travel, then do that. Either to a blue state if you're gonna have an abortion, or to Canada or wherever. Yeah. It's really bad. And the future does not look specifically bright. And authentic candidates. So here's the thing. Here's what I would say about that. In the primaries, vote for the most left-leaning candidates you can. So you should always vote for the most left-leaning candidate, in my opinion, in order to look after women's rights. So in the primaries, if you have like a socialist running against a neoliberal, then go for the socialist. Or a social democrat running against a neoliberal, go for the socialist. However, or the social democrat. However, in the general elections, you can't really be picky about it. You can't do the whole, oh yeah, this Democrat is running in my state in the general, but he's too far He's too much of a neoliberal, so I'm not gonna vote. You still have to vote for the neoliberal if you're in that situation, because the alternative is a Republican, and the Republicans are bad. They are very bad news. If they gain control over a single institution, then, like, I don't mean to sound melodramatic about it, but then it's lost for possibly generations. And that's not good. So, with that in mind, I want us to take a look at 40 minutes. It's an old debate from 2016 between Sam Saether and Jimmy Dore. Because I want you guys to see exactly how correct Sam Saether was about this, and why the Bernie or bust movement or mentality is really bad. Let's see, a good question. We talk about this on our live stream. Is abortion still a cultural taboo subjective topic after what currently happened? It's not the same in Norway right now, but we do have parties that want to make abortions harder to get in Norway as well. Luckily for us, they are currently not exactly big. Noam Chomsky calling the Republican Party the most dangerous organization in history. Oh yeah, I actually agree with that. And I watched a Vars stream where he talked about that, and it's actually a good explanation as to why we would see the GOP as the most dangerous organization in history, why they are actually more dangerous than, let's say, the Nazis. At least potentially. And Vars's argument is that a lot of the GOP believe that we are in the end time. They like actually believe in the rapture. And if they don't believe it, they at least have enough constituents that believe that. Like tens of millions of Americans actually do believe that. Now, what kind of limits do you set for yourself if you think that you are fighting for the salvation of humankind? That everything you do in order to save humanity. Like you do it in order to in a religious sense, save humanity. To get rid of sin. To initiate Armageddon, basically. The day of judgment. Well, at that point, you don't really have any reasons to hold back, do you? Because you think that you're at the end of history. That there will be nothing coming after you. And that you are about to get judged by the deity you believe in for how hard you fought to bring about that. So that's an interesting thing to think about. And again, I didn't think of this on my own. This is something that I saw Vars talk about the other day, and it just made very much sense with me.